Welcome to the natural beauty here at 12 Hummingbirds Retreat in the Andes Mountains of Ecuador. I am Kira, and together we are expanding consciousness. Welcome. Welcome to a journey that we have been taking for a few weeks now. And if you're just joining us, well, today we are diving into the experience of consciousness, into that middle ground of our life, that moment where we become more than our awareness, where we are actively experiencing that which we have harvested from the journey. How exciting is that? And you know, to get to that journey, to get to that point, it's often quite a powerful journey, isn't it? You know, I wanted to open up today and continue on this journey of really sharing with you and really loving you so dearly and thanking you for supporting expanding consciousness. I want to ask you something. I mean, have you ever been screaming for light and illumination? Have you ever found yourself, no matter when it is, just knowing that your journey is seeming hard or unexpected, or something is happening right now in your life that just completely was so depressing or so overwhelming that you may have even thought suicidal thoughts? You ever been there? Well, I know I have. And I've been there over the past 2 years, and I am so excited that through the revelations of human nature, through the moment, through our experience of grief and sadness, really feel that through the moments of your grief and your sadness, that in that moment, the natural response to the planetary thought body is frequently fear. That when we are at our saddest, when we are feeling the most out of sorts, it seems that fear tries to take over. Well, fear is indeed a great, profound force. And it's a force not to be afraid of. How's that for a double entendre, right? To not be afraid of the fear. Well, what does that really mean? It means that when you have had that hard reality thrown at you, when you have had to walk through it no matter what, the fact is that you are still here right now. You have learned to move forward beyond that which feeds on grief and pain. Well, what feeds on grief and pain? I know what fed on my grief and pain was the extreme fear, was that absolute frozen energy to learn that people that you love, people that you trust, friends, family, associates, to feel the energy of betrayal when you yourself are feeling so betrayed by life. You ever feel that way? What'd you do about it? And what are you doing about it? Well, obviously you're doing a lot because you're here right now, because you found expanding consciousness. Why? Because your consciousness is indeed expanding. You have been navigating an extraordinary journey, and right now you are having an experience. So what is experience? What is this experience, and why are we talking about it? Well, over the past several weeks, we began really looking at the stages of consciousness itself. So let me backtrack a minute. Let us remember that first we are gazing at this template, that there is a template of consciousness, that in that template of consciousness and this world and this potentiality, that template of consciousness, if we think about it as a clock, right? Think about it as a clock, 12, 3, 6, and 9. Well, at 12 o'clock, where it all begins and where it all kind of culminates, is with our physical body. And then where we go, the journey that we take, this journey of consciousness itself, goes from that 12 o'clock physical body to that 3 o'clock of the emotions. And we talked a lot about this last week when we began the journey, when we started realizing that as we dive into this world, as we move forward, we have this awareness, and that this phase 1 of our life of consciousness begins with this taking, receiving, noticing, the awareness of everything around us, becoming aware of everything, who we are, what our body is, what we do, how we work with each other, how we live, how we eat, how we sustain, how we breathe. We become aware. And that's the first phase of our expansion, of our emergence. And last week I taught us how to be safe in that awareness, right? And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back and watch last week's show. It really, really matters because it begins with awareness and it begins with knowing I am safe and how to do that. Because once we foundationalize in our safety, once you know that no matter what life tries to put at you, no matter what is happening, no matter how depressed, how suicidal, no matter what is happening, it's an experience. And that's where we are today. That is the massive, big kahuna portion of our journey. It's the part that leads us through. It's that second phase of life. It's called experience. And in the gift of experience, when we enter into our experience, knowing we are safe and aware of that which we weren't even aware of before, then the experience becomes an active energy. You're not a victim. You are absolutely not a victim. Thereby, you do not need a rescuer, and you absolutely do not need to have anyone be an abuser. By being the absolute one, the one that is called in the awareness of self, our unique human nature attribute, through and with that human awareness, you actively experience life. So what does that mean? What does it mean for you to actively experience your life? Well, first it means that you love yourself enough to say yes to you. And through that active experience, similar to being safe in our awareness, we learn. Active experience is learning, just putting into motion all that we received in our awareness process. Remember, during that first part of our life, and let's just use it in the physical sense right now, because all of these, awareness, experience, and next week when we talk about choice, all of these are happening in every aspect of the template of consciousness all the time. But right now, let's just talk about our physical experience. So in our physical experience, right around the age 30, we begin to enter into, very slowly we bridge from our awareness into our experience. Now, it's not that we're not actively doing all three. We are constantly in awareness, experience, and choice. However, as far as our life, as far as this physical body and form, as far as the mission or the purpose or whatever other word you would want to put on it, it's between the ages of roughly 30 to 65 that we have our richest active experience. It's where we learn. It's where everything is coming into motion. It's where we learn more about who we are, what brings us joy, what does not, what is going on around us, what do we prefer. You learn more about yourself as an individual than as part of a collective planetary thought body of fear. In the awareness stage, we're younger, we're learning, we're more susceptible to the group think. We're more susceptible through our awareness to learn through the views and opinions of others. But during that active experience moment, and especially around 50 when we hit our cryon return, we begin to adapt into a way of experiencing that is actively participating. We move from feeling that we have no control and sometimes trying to control so much that we derail ourselves, that we can process that information and move into that harmonious balance of realizing that when we let go of the perception of the need to control, everything shows up. It doesn't mean that you're not coordinating. It doesn't mean you're not organizing. It doesn't mean you don't have a list. What it means is that you've stopped believing that you have any control over this at all. And we open to the wisdom and the choice to invite our divine nature to call forward the gift. And here it is. It's a big word with a D. Discernment. Discernment. What is discernment? Well, discernment is a moment that each arrives at their own pace and in their own way. It's a moment where your self-love, your discernment, your ability to actively experience your awareness comes forward in a way that has balance. For example, it was a hard lesson for me. It was a really, really hard lesson for me. But I remember so many times over the past several years, especially, that I had to learn to discern those that would look me in the eye and say they honestly wanted to help and be a part of everything, and those that were really just looking to take advantage of the fact that I was absolutely not at my highest wisdom, that I was having my own moment of growth and emergence. That is a gift of discernment. It's a gift of realization that deep within yourself, there is a key. There is a moment where you wake up, where you stand up and you bring your hand to your heart. In this moment, I trust myself, the ultimate discernment. Breathe that in. Really breathe that in. As you're walking through your life right now, as you're moving through this life right now, notice what you're actively experiencing. And I want to invite you to give yourself, take 10 minutes a day, get a piece of paper. Yeah, a piece of paper. I really encourage you to do this longhand. And if you're at the beach, do it in the sand. Get a stick, draw it in the sand. But you need to draw. You need to be really moving with this practice I want to offer you. And what I want you to do is very simple. Years and years ago, they used to call this a Ben Franklin list, right? And the reason they called it a Ben Franklin list was because you take a piece of paper, you draw a line down the middle, and on one side you put a plus sign, and the other side you put a minus sign. Now, what does that mean? Well, they say that when Benjamin Franklin used to make decisions, and he didn't know what to do, this is what he would do. What are all the positives? What are all the negatives? At the end of the day, which column outweighs the other column, right? It's just that simple. So I'm challenging you right now. What is your active experience of your life? What are you actively experiencing? And are you, keyword, aware of it? And this is the gift of taking the time to sit down and make your Ben Franklin list. What are all the positive experiences? Remember, we're talking about experience. What are all the positive experiences that you're having right now? And on the minus side, what are all the negative experiences you're having right now? And I invite you to do that every day for about 2-3 days. Then, and especially if you're doing this on paper, and if not, take a photo of what you wrote. Look at those 3 days worth of assessments, worth of self-assessments in your active experience of this life. And then notice, where does the plus and the minus balance each other? Where does one plus perhaps offset a minus? And in those minuses, what is the missing plus if you cannot find it? Because the gift of active experience is that it is constantly moving us. It is constantly bringing us forward. It is constantly reminding your awareness that you are here right now. You chose to be here. That's one of the greatest things about the sacred sequence of incarnation. And let me give you a quick recap of that, just in case you're not remembering that exactly. What is the sacred sequence of incarnation? Well, it's what brings us here. So the way I like to describe it is, imagine you're a comet and you're soaring through space. And as you're soaring through space as a comet and aware of your eternal nature, aware of your illumination, aware of the expansion, the emergence of this continual, beautiful, expansive journey, that as you are aware of that, you suddenly have this yearning, this need for form, this type of a form, this body right here. And so in that need, your consciousness reaches out. And in the essence of the expansion, your consciousness determines when you're inserting into linear time, what planetary system, if form is why you're coming, to look like this. And then if you're coming into this planet, if you're coming to this timeline, what do you need to look like? Where do you need to be born? What are all of the assets, all of the attributes that are helping you to have this life experience right now? Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered, especially if you've ever experienced any type of negative feedback about your looks or about yourself or your behaviors or any of that? I know I have. I remember I have had so many experiences of prejudice and other issues thrown at me. And every single time, it hurt. Of course it hurt, because that's the emotional body. And the mental body has its gyrations, right? That's how activism is born. But remember, any ism limits you. Any ism takes away from your freedom because it's a limiting belief pattern. Anytime we rise in anger against where we see an injustice, all we're doing is adding anger to the injustice. And these two will never find a harmonic balance. And this is why the sacred sequence of incarnation is so important. Because in the choosing of your parents, in the choosing of your family, in the choosing of what color your skin is going to be, how tall you're going to be, what your hair is going to look like, your eyes, everything about you, in the choosing of that, it is what draws the experiences for your soul's journey to maximize this moment. It is the active experience that constantly illuminates. It is the active experience that is ever refining. And it's a spiral. Remember, it's the spiral of awareness, experience, and choice. Yes, you have a body. Yes, you can grow nails and grow hair or not. You can smile or not. You can walk or not. All of those things support your eternal nature to love even more, to go deeper into the depth of your divine journey. And then, as the perennial philosophies remind us, as was figured out by those rishis and sages back in the first millennium BC, as codified by Spinoza and by Huxley, there is an absolutely changeless world of reality right there waiting for you beneath the illusion of this world of everlasting change. The active experience of the second life in this body of form is to remember that. Everything that's happening, everything that you're moving through, everything that you're doing is really orchestrated to support you to move forward, to be in that active experience, to remember that awareness and the experience is what leads you to make and live the choice. The Tricerodad, the third life, which was going to be all about next week's show. That culmination, that moment of knowing, that fully integrated process. Remember, we are in the new era. We are in a new world right now. Everything is emerging and everything is emergent. That's why everything's seemingly falling apart. AI is coming in. Do you know what's real anymore? That's part of your active experience. Whatever life phase you're in, whatever part of the cycle you're experiencing right now, whether you're in your younger years, in your middle years, in your wisdom years, it matters not. You will always be in the essence of awareness, experience, and choice. But humanity, we're right now in experience. As a matter of fact, we are so much in experience that in this lineality, in this experience of time, and I want to kind of timestamp this into this episode, coming right up in November 2025, the entire world will be in that energy of experience. We will all be experiencing on a very rapid level. In October 2025, we're all in awareness. November, we're all in experience. And in December, we are all in choice because the year 2026 will be a full experience year. So imagine that. 2025 has been the year of awareness. What have you noticed? What has happened this year? What is happening right now? Who have you met? What introductions have happened? What serendipities have come into your life? What has ended? What has begun? 2025 is an awareness year. 2026 is an experience year because humanity will be in its ultimate choice point in 2027. Yes, things look scary. Yes, we're staring at a lot of things we've never looked at before, but that's because we are aware. We are aware and we are living the experience. And your heart is screaming and saying, are you ready to make your choice? And what will you do with it? Through that awareness, through that experience, you birth the choice. Remember, you chose to be here. The sacred sequence of incarnation has been calling you from the moment you showed up here and long before. I invite you with all my heart to visit IamKira.net. Come visit me here at 12hummingbirdsretreat.com. And remember, you are the commander. I am as you are, consciousness itself, having the gift of awareness, experience, and choice. See you next week. Many blessings.